I think for a community in a small town especially to be competitive and to make itself attractive, it needs to have a chamber of commerce to be available for outsiders to come to get information and to coordinate the activities that go on in the community. And I was again asked to serve on the board as a banker, so I went ahead and did that and spent 2 or 3 terms, again I don't remember how long, on that board as well, and so just worked my way around. Trying to remember the different positions I held, and I can't think of them off the top of my head other than I was president in 1995 to 1996. When I was involved in the chamber, the group that was involved at that time worked a lot to get activities, weekend activities to get people into the community. We had a Maple City Madness Day that had a 5K run and 3-on-3 basketball tournaments going on, and it basically shut down the downtown, but it brought lots of people in to the community from outside who could then walk around at, back then we had retail businesses downtown, and spend some money. And I think those were the most fun, the most exciting, the most work, but probably brought the most people into Monmouth as well. There are lots of chamber activities. Some are just for chamber members, but those brought extra people in. Well, now they have a Maple City pottery collectors group that comes in, and they have appraisers. There were 2 or 3 different potteries in town. Most of this is before even my time here. And for example, one of the brands is Sleepy Eye pottery, and people from all over the United States collect that. And so the chamber has a weekend where there are appraisers and collectors and people who want to buy and people who want to sell come and meet, and that's downtown for a morning, one Saturday, whereas our Maple City Madness was Friday night and all day Saturday and Saturday night as well. So it's just on a different scale.
What was the purpose of the Monmouth Roseville Music Boosters?
It's supportive music programs at the junior high, well, grade school, junior high, and high school level in the school district. Actually, when I started, it was Monmouth, and then it became Monmouth Roseville partway in through my tenure, with the consolidation of the schools. And we fundraisers to provide the show choir uniforms and choreography money, and back then they went to Florida every other year or so, and so provided fundraising for the students to get to pay their way to Florida. Well, I've been a member since I've lived in town, so that's going back a while. I've been asked to serve on the board, but I've never felt like I had the time to do it justice, so I've always declined, believe it or not.
Wait, you declined things already?
I did, but that's been a few years ago when my kids were younger too. I was just asked to do this fundraiser. They just try to get people to volunteer, so I did it. Joe Schweitzer, who a lot. Well, no, seriously, because we started about 3 or 4 months before the program and got up to where we were practicing 2 to 3 nights a week for at least an hour just to keep it going. So I can't remember the name of the dance. I danced
you do a couple?
Yeah, I danced a Little Brown Jug, which is a swing step, I think. The cha-cha to ABBA's Money, Money, Money. Everybody together raised over $30,000. It goes to fund scholarships for students, for people who can't afford Y memberships, usually kids, to get kids to be able to participate at the Y. Yes, I'm going to do it again, just because it was, it's just fun and it's just outside of my comfort zone, so it keeps me learning. Well, the coach doesn't have to raise any money, and the coach is usually a dancer from a previous year who has some experience, and so hopefully can help the new person. The Athena Award is presented to a person who's personally or business is a member of the Chamber of Commerce, and that person is honored for helping women in the business world. Now, you get in Monmouth and there aren't a lot of opportunities for that type of thing. So it also probably at the time was honoring people who were active in the community as well. it's gratifying. I mean, it's nice to be recognized, and it's at the chamber dinner, you know, and it was, you know,
Fancy.
so it was at that time a little fancier than it is now. Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was an honor. When I was chamber president, I wrote a monthly article for the newsletter that went to all of the members, and one of the things that I remember writing, and I probably can give you a copy of this, is that if we could get the upstairs apartments over all of the downtown businesses fixed up so that people lived in them, then the downtown would have more foot traffic and would have hopefully more support of the businesses that are there. Well, that's really underway now. You know, 20 years later, the apartments above where the Maud Speckle Bellies or whatever that is, you know, those have all been redone. And again, the goal is to have people living downtown and generating foot traffic. But in the meantime, all of our businesses downtown, most of them have disappeared. You know, at the time I was president of chamber, there were 2 or 3 jewelers. You know, there were a couple of different clothing stores for women, one big one for men. I'm trying to think of some of the other places, a Christian bookstore, 2 or 3 printers. There may have even still been a bookstore downtown and like a Newsland store. So, in a movie theater, a lot of the issues that Monmouth faces, I think every small town in rural America faces. My husband teaches in Stronghurst, Illinois, or used to teach in Stronghurst, Illinois, which is a town of 800. They had 2 movie theaters. And those buildings are still there. You come to Monmouth, we had a movie theater up till maybe 10 years ago, maybe a little bit longer. We used to go to movies all the time. They closed the movie theater. I can't tell you the last time I've seen a movie. When the movie theater closed, then some of the surrounding, you know, the ice cream shop closes, that kind of thing. But I see it progressing from the very small towns to what I consider sort of a small town. And I hate, and you go to Galesburg and you see the mall empty. And you just see it progressing on. So I guess I'm not really giving you an answer, but the course of events that concerns me about Monmouth is creeping further to the next bigger size city. And I hope that at some point there's a change in that to bring some kind of businesses back into the community. But that's very hard to do because the standards of living have changed such that people don't want to work 60 or 80 hours a week for barely minimum wage. And that's what happens a lot when you have your own business, especially in a small town. Now, having said that, there are lots of businesses popping up, and I can't think of the description I want to use, to serve more of the immigrant population. There are probably 4 or 5 different little small Mexican and other types of grocery stores in the area to cater to our immigrant population, so that they have the types of foods that they like and desire. So in that sense, parts of it's coming back. Inside of these grocery stores are clothing and shoes and all other kinds of unusual things, again, to serve the smaller immigrant population. Do you remember Mike Petruzzi?
Yeah.
Okay, because I remember having this conversation with him, and I remember saying, oh, I could never live in Chicago, and he looked at me and said, oh, I could never live in Monmouth. And that's wonderful. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah,
you know what you like.
Yeah.
I know what I like, and we're good with that. So it's just to each his own.